constantly be in flux because you need opposite. That's where you get the whole opposite attracting piece for solid foundations. Can't lean to your own understanding. So the last thing, Solomon said, Proverbs 3:5 and 6, the last thing is that in all your ways acknowledge him and he'll make your path straight. Okay, for us to develop commitment, we have to trust in the Lord with all our heart, wholehearted trust. Okay? So we can't get committed to something unless we're willing to be wholehearted in it. If you're not wholehearted in it, you're not committed to it. You're not willing to trust it with everything that you got, even though you may not fully understand it. You're not committed to it. The second thing is that if you're not willing to lean on to some other understanding other than your own, you're not committed to it. And the last thing is that you have to acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. Are you with me? All right, so here's my last point. Commitment is not coercion. Thank you, Jesus. Commitment is about completion. It's not about me convincing you or forcing you to do it my way. It's about completing this, which means that we may come at this at different angles, but our agenda for completion is the same. What most people miss about commitment is that it has a goal of completion. Commitment in and of itself is really end-minded. What is the end game? For me to be committed to something, then that means that I have a goal in mind that I will move heaven and earth in order to achieve. And I don't care who it is that comes with me in order to do it, or what you bring. And it doesn't have to be like who I am and what I bring, as long as we get to the end. As long as we achieve the goal. Are you with me? Too often we bypass, overlook, or simply never connect our commitments to our choices because we don't have a purpose for why most of us have made the choice in the first place. So we tend not to connect commitment to our choices because we don't have a purpose for the reason why we chose what we chose. We chose it because it felt right in the moment. But how many of us have started something in one moment, but the moment it no longer felt right, we changed to something else? See, but commitment is recognizing that when this moment changes, I'm still here. I'm not going to move away from this because there's a purpose that's greater than this moment for the reason why I'm in it. It's the lack of purpose that causes us to quit at the first sign of conflict. It's the lack of purpose, it's the lack of focus that causes us to quit at the first sign of commitment. The moment we feel as though we are competing, or the moment that we realize that we're losing, we bail out. The moment conflict enters, I'm looking for the exit. Help me, Jesus, I'm not going to get any help. The power of choice is most often exercised by selfish people who want their way or no way. This is true. Power of choice is really just the byproduct of me exercising my will to do what I want. And the moment that I don't get what I want, I use my power again to choose something else. Ain't no commitment in it, but it's exercising choice. Because commitment focuses on the goal. It allows you to see conflict, which is natural to partnership. Let me say that one more time. Whenever you engage someone else who thinks different than you, it's natural to have conflict. Conflict is a sign of progress. See, when we're just commitment or choice-based, we see conflict as a sign of exit. You just don't understand me. You have no way to know who I am. You just don't get me. So guess what? Deuces. Gone. But conflict is the natural byproduct of partnership when it's partnered with commitment. See, we understand that if we are going to have a partnership, there's going to be conflict. And conflict is what motivates us to seek out God. Because conflict means that we both reached a place where we have hit a limit. And so that neither one of us strong arms the other, we both have to seek God. In other words, God uses conflict in committed relationships in order that he might be a participant. Did you catch that? Yeah. God uses conflict in a committed relationship in order that he might have an active part in the relationship. Because when you get to the end of you, what do? Where do you go? Who do you go to? God uses it in order that we might be able to bring him in so that we don't cancel out what we were connected for. The conflict in our commitment is God's way of getting us to look for him in it. And after doing so, he makes our path straight. Did you catch it? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. See, commitment is not about knowing how you're going to get to where you want to go. It's about knowing who will get you there. And conflict comes in that we might acknowledge him, not one another's strengths or to highlight one another's weaknesses, but to bring in God into the mix so that what was going wrong, he can come in and direct and make straight. A commitment, to develop commitment, you got to trust in the Lord for all your heart. Because he's our model. And he tells us that trust is not given, it's earned. And he's earned our trust, so therefore he's the perfect model for commitment, because he didn't just commit himself to us, he wholeheartedly committed himself. He's all in. Not only must I trust the Lord with all my heart, I have to then in turn know that the second element of developing commitment is to lean not to my own understanding. If I'm really going to be committed to something, it's based off of who I'm connected to that brings something different to the table than what I bring in. I can't look and feel confident in my commitments or confident in my choices if I choose people who are just like me. And the last part is I have to acknowledge him, because he's going to be the only one who makes it straight. In other words, I don't look at conflict as a reason to cancel what I said I was committed to, but I look at it as an opportunity in which to engage God so that he can then in turn teach me how, teach us how to get beyond this place that we never knew we were going to get to, as we're headed to where it is that we said we wanted to go. See, the choosing and the connecting with others should work, because we are innately wired to be self-sufficient, selfish beings. So whenever you connect with other people, you have to know that it in its own strength and in its own power is not going to work, because it may not happen today, it may not be tomorrow, but there's going to be something that's going to occur that's going to cause you all not to get along. Because we have different experiences, we have different backgrounds, we have different makeups. Even if you have the same parents, there's going to be something different about you that's going to cause some kind of conflict. But that's not the problem. It should not work. And because it should not naturally work, that is always God's opportunity to insert himself into the process. Because in your own strength you can't. But this is why the Bible says, with God, all things are possible. Nothing will be impossible for those that love him and are called, committed according to his purpose. See, here's the deal. The choice is ours. But once you choose, stay committed. The choice is always yours. But it takes a special person to stay committed. And you got to develop commitment. It takes nothing but a choice. Amen? All right, so here's my Q&A. And before I open it up for any questions, if there are any, I just want you, and you can use the cards if you like, or just kind of think about it.